Welcome to Medal of Honor, above and beyond.
Invasion has given us a foothold in France. We need to keep the supply lines moving more than ever. This war is going to be won by whomever can get bullets, bombs, and fuel to the front lines the fastest. And Nazi U-boats continue to be the biggest threat. Now the Germans have a big new U-boat prototype that's launching for sea trials. Let's sink it before it even leaves port. This is a deep undercover mission, so German speakers only. I know Sarge isn't happy about having to stay behind.
I'm not.
So let's make this a quick in-and-out mission. Get inside the base, do your job, and get out. You will be dressed as janitors, so you should have the run of the place. Because you'll be hiding in plain sight, try to avoid drawing attention to yourselves. Go see Huxley for your costumes. Dismissed.
Quartermaster. Experiment with your arsenal.
This mission will really put Ollie's posh German accent to good use, but you need to be extremely careful. The Colonel is fond of saying we don't have problems in the OSS, only opportunities. The problem: Mueller will be at the base, getting briefed on the blueprints for a new weapon system. The opportunity: it's easy to steal something when it's been packaged up for a presentation. Lieutenant, here's a special gadget we've whipped up just for you. Codenamed Bigot. It's a quiet, gas-fired dart that fits into your trusty 1911 pistol. Silent and deadly. It's a one-shot, one-kill weapon. Perfect for staying undetected as you eliminate enemies.
I like it. Okay, nothing new here. The Gewehr but scoped. The STG.
The
This is new.
STG-44. The lethality of this weapon frightens me. If you see a German with one, my advice is to take cover immediately. The STG-44 is the best in class for mid-range combat. It's capable of very long bursts, but accuracy can go wild when firing the entire magazine at once. Ideal for very far enemies, the STG-44 will still work wonders.
It will. Spear
You
gun.
might find one of these spear guns on board a U-boat. Your ammunition will be limited, but it only takes one spear per enemy. And you have the advantage of retrieving and reusing spears you've already shot. It's also, from what I'm told, good against sharks.
What does that mean?
The Gewehr 43. An impressive weapon. The MP40, a deadly German submachine gun. It has a slower firing rate than the American M1A1, but in the right hands, it can be more lethal. In the right hands, this simple combat knife is every bit as deadly as a machine gun. A knife is always lethal when thrown at enemies. If your knife ever gets stuck on the ceiling, you can always shoot your weapon to dislodge it. And, with a little practice, the knife can be twirled and tossed between hands.
Okay, what's this?
Huxley, what is the lieutenant looking at?
Just in case you do run into trouble, PT-305 has been outfitted with some new armament. Ideally, you won't have to use it, but This quad cannon will get you out of most pickles.
Huxley, what's the lieutenant holding?
Hopefully you avoid any German entanglements on your voyage to the subbase. But be on the lookout for these small patrol boats. They're fast and deadly.
Huxley, what's the lieutenant looking at?
This is your target. A new class of U-boat that has the potential to grind the invasion to a halt. Get aboard and sink it at all costs, Lieutenant.
That's what we've got.
Huxley, what is the lieutenant looking at?
This is the support ship for the U-boat.
No.
Hopefully it has no reason to leave port, because you've scuttled the target.
Huxley, what's the lieutenant looking at?
The Kriegsmarine has successfully developed a new class of acoustic homing torpedo, which will wreak havoc on the Allied navies. These torpedoes are supposed to be deployed with this U-boat. Another reason to sink the sub before it leaves port.
Huxley, what is the lieutenant holding?
The model shop whipped this up for you when they heard where you were going. Hopefully you won't actually end up in the water, where the sharks are.
Okay. It seems to cover all of the things to see. Now what about the uniform?
Huxley, who's that?
The crew of PT-305 is sneaking you into the German sub-base. The weather team upstairs says you'll have the cover of fog, but be careful.
Janitor?
Huxley, who is that?
Once you're in the German base, you'll dress as janitors to hide in plain sight. Ollie should be able to talk you out of any trouble you get into, but do your best to stay incognito.
Kriegsmarine.
Huxley, who's that?
Watch out for the enlisted men at the base. Most of them spend their days on boring sentry duty, so they'll take out their frustrations on whomever is the next lower rung on the ladder. And that will be you.
Huxley, who is that?
I've always maintained that Germans don't make uniforms, they make costumes. This is the
Nice
outfit
costume.
for an admiral's attaché.
What about this fella?
Huxley, who's that?
And here is the
Is the
admiral.
admiral.
The Nazis love to define the fascist aesthetic every chance they get. They'll certainly be well dressed as the world burns down around them.
Huxley, who is that?
While your main objective is to sabotage their new U-boat before it leaves for sea trials, we have reports the designers at the base are finalizing plans for a new weapon system. We want you to steal those blueprints.
I'll do what I can.
Huxley, who's that?
I'll be drafting.
This is Mueller's main henchman. His name is Aegon. He comes from an old, aristocratic German family. I do hope I'm not related. We don't know much about him, other than he's extremely eager to move up in the chain of command. Evil and ambitious are a dangerous combination. Try to avoid him at all costs. Pardon my French, but he's a real asshole.
Huxley, who is that?
The boys in the model shop whipped this up for you. This is Mueller. You, of course, ran into this nasty chap when he captured Juliet. Our intelligence suggests he will be at the sub-base to review the blueprints. By asking for a presentation, he is unwittingly giving us a prime opportunity to steal them.
Huxley, who's that?
This is the crew of a German U-boat. They don't take kindly to people sneaking aboard their boat. 3 words of advice: don't get caught.
Some fair advice. What do we have here?
Huxley, what's that?
Lieutenant, the boys in the back have set up this small climbing course for you if you want to practice. Always good to be nimble if you have to pull yourself out of a tight spot.
Yeah. Nope.
Huxley, what is that?
Once you get to the sub-base, you'll be hiding in plain sight as janitor. You'll be dressed for the role, but make sure you also act the part. Practice picking up trash and placing it in the rubbish bin, or the janitor trolley. This janitor trolley will also make a fine place to hide the stolen blueprints.
That's a good idea.
Huxley, what's that?
In case you get stuck and need to contact us, you can usually find a Morse code transmitter in a radio room or on a ship's bridge. I imagine your Morse might be a little rusty, so give yourself a quick little refresher.
Fuck's sakes. Why's it got to be so short? Whew. Cool. Let's try that live fire gauntlet.
The model shop pulled out all the stops for you on this live fire exercise. You'll have a chance to sink a U-boat before setting foot in Germany.
Let's give it a go.